Retirement was supposed to be the dream.
Sunshine, slow mornings, and serene beaches. But in 2025, for thousands of retirees across the globe, that dream has turned into a high-stakes nightmare. From violent crime and collapsing currencies to bureaucratic red tape and rising inflation, the world's most sought-after retirement destinations are rapidly becoming places seniors are desperate to escape.
So what happened? Why are retirees abandoning paradise? Why are the countries they once flocked to now bleeding pensioners by the thousands? And more importantly, where are they going instead? This isn't just a trend. It's a warning. Because if you're planning to retire abroad or already have, what you're about to see might just change everything. These are the 10 countries where retirees are fleeing in 2025. And some of the reasons will shock you. Number 10, Thailand. Once hailed as a tropical haven for Western retirees, is witnessing a slow but undeniable exodus. According to recent data, its retiree population has declined by 10 to 15% since 2022. What's behind the change? First, it's the political instability.
Nationwide protests, some turning violent, have returned in waves as tensions build around controversial monarchy reforms and government crackdowns.
This constant turmoil is shaking the very sense of peace retirees came here to find. But politics aren't the only issue. Living costs in Thailand's most popular expat regions, Phuket, Chiang Mai, and Bangkok, have surged.
Expats now report a 25% increase in overall cost indices compared to 2020, largely driven by spikes in rental prices, visa fees, and private healthcare premiums. Many retirees, who came for the affordability, are now finding themselves priced out of their adopted home. Then there's the visa situation. In 2024, the government introduced new long-stay visa requirements, including proof of much higher income thresholds and expensive health insurance mandates. For retirees on fixed pensions, these hurdles are simply too high. Retirement in Thailand is no longer about slow sunsets and cheap street food, it's about navigating red tape, surviving protests, and stretching every dollar. So it's no wonder that retirees are quietly, but quickly, heading for the exits. And that's just the beginning. Number 9, Brazil. They might offer stunning beaches and vibrant culture, but in 2025, it's become a dangerous gamble for retirees. The nation is still reeling from its political chaos, frequent leadership changes, corruption scandals, and social unrest are now the norm rather than the exception. Retirees, who once saw Brazil as a lively, affordable escape, are now seeing it as a risky trap.
One of the most pressing concerns? Safety. Violent crime has skyrocketed in urban centers like Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. Current figures show crime rates averaging 40 incidents per 100,000 residents in key metro areas. Seniors have become frequent targets of theft, burglary, and assault. And with local law enforcement stretched thin, protection is far from guaranteed. Brazil's economy isn't helping either. Inflation hovered around 15% throughout 2023 and early 2024. For retirees relying on a fixed income, that means less food, fewer medical options, and growing financial anxiety.
What was once a comfortable budget now barely covers essentials.
Healthcare, too, is deteriorating. Brazil's public system is overstretched, and private clinics have hiked their prices to compensate. With violence at their doorstep and inflation eating their savings, retirees are asking, why are we still here? Number 8, South Africa. Long promised breathtaking landscapes and English-speaking ease, but its dark underbelly is pushing retirees to the edge. Crime is the elephant in the room, and it's not going away.
In 2025, murder rates in some cities have hit 36 per 100,000 residents.
Robbery, fraud, and targeted scams, especially against the elderly, are exploding across major urban hubs. It's not just about physical safety, it's also about financial vulnerability. Retirees are now regular targets of online fraud and pension theft.
Many have reported losing thousands through sophisticated scams, often with little recourse.
Combine that with unreliable banking infrastructure, and you've got a perfect storm for disaster. Electricity blackouts, known locally as load shedding, continue to disrupt daily life, sometimes lasting up to 10 hours a day.
It's a small detail, but imagine being 75, alone, with health issues, and unable to power a medical device or even refrigerate your food. Official immigration numbers don't lie, retiree departures are up by 25% in just 2 years.
South Africa's promise has curdled into a deeply unstable reality. Retirees are not just leaving, they're fleeing. Number 7. Argentina. Hyperinflation has become a way of life in Argentina, and retirees are among the hardest hit.
As of 2023, the country saw inflation spike to between 90 to 100%, a staggering figure that shredded the value of local pensions and savings.
$1 saved last year? It's worth pennies today.
For foreign retirees living on fixed incomes, whether through Social Security or private pensions, this volatility is nothing short of catastrophic. Everyday essentials like medicine, groceries, and utilities have become unpredictable luxury items. Seniors are being forced to choose between heating and eating. The government has implemented capital controls, making it difficult for foreigners to exchange currency legally or access foreign bank accounts. Retirees have been caught in the crossfire of a failing financial system, losing both trust and access to their own money.
Immigration data shows a clear pattern. Retiree departures from Argentina jumped 30% in the last 18 months. With no clear economic plan in sight, the mass retirement exodus continues. Number 6. Mexico.
They had long been a mecca for American retirees looking for warm weather and affordable living.
But in 2025, that equation is starting to break down.
First, there's the crime. In expat-heavy towns like San Miguel de Allende and Puerto Vallarta, violent crime has risen by 15%, with drug cartel turf wars inching closer to residential zones.
Next comes the rising cost of living.
While still cheaper than the US, key retirement expenses, especially private healthcare and housing, have jumped 20% in just the last 2 years. For those living on US Social Security or pensions, the gap between cost and income is becoming painfully wide.
Medical tourism was once a huge draw for retirees, but now, high demand and limited supply have created bottlenecks.
Waiting lists for English-speaking doctors are growing, and out-of-pocket costs have soared. Add to that increasingly complex immigration rules and inconsistent enforcement, and Mexico suddenly feels far less welcoming.
It's not about margaritas and mariachi anymore, it's about safety, affordability, and survival.
Number 5. Turkey, once promised retirees a seductive mix of Mediterranean charm, low costs, and exotic culture. But in 2025, that illusion has shattered. Turkey has become one of the most volatile destinations for foreign retirees, especially those relying on fixed incomes or foreign pensions.
Since 2023, the Turkish lira has plunged again.
Inflation officially hit 65%, but real consumer prices have climbed even higher. Essentials like rent, medicine, and food have doubled in many cities.
Ankara and Izmir, once budget-friendly hubs, are now choking retirees with runaway expenses and collapsing purchasing power. Those living on US dollar-based pensions saw their nest eggs shrink in real time as exchange rates flipped violently every quarter. But it's not just economics.
Turkey's increasingly authoritarian political climate is pushing out foreigners. The country has jailed journalists, cracked down on dissent, and passed new laws requiring more rigorous documentation for long-term stays.
Add intense relations with the EU and NATO, and many retirees are realizing they're living in a geopolitical fault line. The result? A full-blown exodus. In just 24 months, retiree visa renewals dropped by 38%. The Turkish Riviera is losing its golden generation. And no one's replacing them. Number 4. France. France. The dream. The wine.
The walks through cobbled towns. But for thousands of retirees, the French fantasy is fading fast.
What's driving them out? First, taxation hell.
Many foreign retirees living in France have found themselves tangled in double taxation webs, confusing treaty clauses, and endless bureaucracy.
And since 2022, Macron's administration has been cracking down on so-called wealthy expats, launching new audits and increasing scrutiny of foreign pensions and offshore assets. Second, cost of living. While Paris has always been expensive, even rural areas like Dordogne and Brittany are now feeling the heat. Grocery bills are up 19%, utility costs up 28%, and even basic home repairs are skyrocketing due to labor shortages. Retirees report having to dip into emergency savings just to keep the lights on. Healthcare, Longma Plus, is now a bureaucratic mess.
Retirees must register with French Social Security and obtain expensive top-up insurance to receive full care, processes that can take months, with no guarantee of success.
Retirement in France is turning from elegant to exhausting. No wonder a 26% increase in long-term visa cancellations among retirees was recorded in 2024. The message is clear: if you want La Belle Vie, look somewhere else. Number 3. Greece. It was supposed to be Europe's best-kept secret.
But in 2025, Greece is seeing retirees flee en masse, as reality crashes down on fantasy.
The first problem? Economic stagnation.
While Greece technically exited its bailout era, the aftershocks are still shaking the system.
Public pensions are in disarray, and retirees depending on Greek social services are finding them understaffed, underfunded, and unreliable. Foreign retirees fare no better, thanks to inflation nearing 12%, soaring housing costs, and rising healthcare copays. But the real red flag is infrastructure decay. In 2024, nearly 40% of the country experienced blackouts, water shortages, or phone outages, sometimes all in 1 week. These aren't rural issues either. Even Athens and Thessaloniki struggle to maintain services under a crumbling bureaucracy and aging systems.
Add in bureaucracy so thick it's practically medieval, try registering a car or scheduling a surgery. And retirees are discovering that every idyllic Greek village hides layers of red tape. The visa office backlog in Athens is now over 6 months, and even permanent residents are being told to reapply under new post-COVID rules. With over 22% of expat retirees reporting plans to relocate out of Greece in 2025, this once celebrated haven is officially in decline.
Number 2. Spain. Spain was once the dream retirement destination: tapas, beachside villas, and cheap wine.
But in 2025, it's turning into a financial and bureaucratic trap for aging expats.
Spain's once affordable coastlines are now housing war zones. In Malaga and Valencia, rent has jumped 35% since 2020.
In tourist-heavy regions like the Balearic Islands, long-term retirees are being priced out by short-term rental investors and digital nomads willing to pay inflated rates.
Entire retiree communities are vanishing as landlords chase Airbnb profits.
Meanwhile, Spain's economy isn't keeping up. Inflation is stubbornly above 7%, and energy prices have soared due to ongoing disruptions in the European grid.
Add in Spain's notorious red tape, immigration, banking, and tax systems that are maddeningly inconsistent, and many retirees are throwing in the towel. Healthcare?
Still good, but now wildly overburdened. Wait times for public service are stretching into months, especially for foreigners outside the social security net.
More retirees are being pushed toward expensive private care. And the final nail in the coffin?
Post-Brexit and post-COVID changes in residency law now make it harder than ever for non-EU retirees to stay long-term.
Even Americans are feeling the squeeze. Spain may still have sun, but for retirees in 2025, the golden blow is gone. Number 1. Italy.
Topping the list, Italy, the country that once sold €1 homes to attract foreigners, is now driving retirees away in record numbers.
Here's why: Italy is facing a demographic collapse.
With a rapidly aging population and fewer working-age Italians, public services are being stretched past their limits.
Healthcare? Overcrowded, understaffed, and increasingly dependent on underpaid temps. Rural hospitals have shut down entirely in 5 regions.
Retirees in Tuscany and Umbria are reporting wait times of 8+ months for basic procedures.
Costs are also exploding.
Real estate prices in desirable areas like Lake Como, Florence, and Rome have soared by 30% since 2018. Add to that soaring property taxes, endless maintenance costs for crumbling historic buildings, and bureaucratic nightmares involving permits and pensions, it's no wonder retirees are saying arrivederci.
Italian residency law has also shifted under the radar.
Recent reforms introduce stricter income requirements, visa reviews every 2 years, and tougher health insurance obligations.
For a retiree living on a modest pension, that means either ponying up big or getting out. And they are.
According to Italy's National Statistics Institute, retiree immigration hit a record high in 2024, with over 15,000 retirees leaving the country, many heading to cheaper EU neighbors like Portugal, Croatia, or even Bulgaria.
Italy may look like paradise. But for thousands of retirees, it's become a bureaucratic and economic minefield, and they're voting with their feet. So what does this tell us? The retirement dream abroad is imploding, not because people don't want it, but because the country's promising serenity have delivered instability. The sun is still shining, but behind the scenes? Corruption, inflation, visa chaos, healthcare collapse, bureaucratic purgatory. Thousands of retirees are waking up to a harsh truth: the grass isn't greener. It's just more expensive, more unstable, and more difficult to manage as you age. In 2025, the smart retirees are doing something radical, pulling out early, cutting their losses, and rethinking everything. They're swapping cheap paradises for stability. They're leaving tourist traps and financial sinkholes for countries that offer clarity, safety, and consistency. Now the question is, are you next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you still considering retirement abroad? Would you stay in a collapsing paradise or run? If you found this eye-opening, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a reality check. This isn't just travel advice, it's your financial future on the line. Don't let the dream become your downfall.